My presentation is about getting more black people to donate blood and blood plasma. Uh, there are many reasons why we do not, as African Americans, donate blood to the blood bank. The typical reasons are mostly homegrown, but the problem is we are the ones who, more than anyone, need them because of diseases such as sickle cell anemia, where there may be a requirement that you have several transfusions. In order to persuade people to give blood and partake in the blood giving process and the plasma giving process, there has to be some point of education between the consumer, who is the donor, and the person at the collection centers, whether it be the Red Cross or another group or company that does collections for bloodletting. There is a long history behind blacks and blood not wanting to be involved in any blood testing or bloodletting processes that goes back into 1932, where over in Tuskegee, Alabama, there was an experiment done on black men, about 400 of them, where they had syphilis and they were not treated. They were told that they had bad blood, and they were tested from 1932 until 1972, long past the time that penicillin was discovered and as a cure for syphilis. So this has been typically a reason that's in the back of a lot of people's mind. They feel that they're going to be experimented on. They don't feel that the blood that they're giving is going to be collected for their use or their family's use, so why should they give? The problem is, I think there's just not enough public education as far as what goes on with the blood bank and people who process the blood specimens and put them to good use. There is always a critical need for the type of blood that the majority of most black people have, which is O positive, which is the universal donor. We can give, I'm O positive myself, and we can give to anyone who is in need of blood. Now, there are other smaller fractions of black people who have AB and O negative, but they're also very much in use or very much needed by the Red Cross and other associated places who use bloodletting to facilitate hospital care and just care at dialysis centers and where there's a need for blood. Now, these people are certified and very nice. They will take the time to talk to you when you go in to give blood or to make sure that you have an understanding of the process. The thing that goes wrong, I believe, is the fact that most people have no clue of what the actual process is. They think there is just this great big needle that's going to be drawing blood from them, and the people are just, it's just not an accurate picture of what goes on in the bloodletting center. What needs to happen, I believe, is for the people from the Red Cross and other people who do the collection processes to come into the community, have a question and answer process that will help the people who typically would never ever go into a bloodletting center or a Red Cross center and give any blood. It lets those people know what really goes on as far as giving blood or them taking blood. Now, the Tuskegee experiment has been a while, but there's still that stigma that goes with that blood. When you hear people talking about taking blood or giving blood, the first thing people start doing is telling wives' tales or either bringing up the Tuskegee experiment, which by no means should it be, discounted, because it was a very bad time in our history when they were doing these experiments for absolutely no reason, just trying to show that we were inferior to white people who had syphilis, and they didn't test any of the white people. They just did this to the black men. Over 400 black men were subjected to not being treated. They just were told that they had bad blood. And many of these men died, more than 100, 150 that we have records of. But there's possibility that there were many, many more that died out using this particular experiment, or quote unquote experiment. So what needs to happen is that acknowledging that there have been things that were done wrong, but since that time, technology has really advanced, and as far as using really large needles, it's mostly a sort of a moderately sized bore in the needle, so that it can get the blood out in a rapid pace, not too rapidly that will affect your well-being, but so you won't be in there all day. It only takes probably about 30 minutes for the blood to go, and you're doing a really, really great thing when you give blood, especially if it's an O positive blood that you're giving me, because that could be given to many, many different people. Now, there is a limit on how often you can give blood, but if you're a healthy African-American, male or female, over the age of 18, you can give blood, you can give plasma, and the fact that it's so hard to get people to give, they're starting to have to pay people to give plasma and blood. And I think that's a real shame for us to have to be paid in order to do the right thing, in order to facilitate someone to get through their knee surgery or other surgery that requires a lot of, that has a lot of blood in and out, because those surgeries like that do have a lot of blood loss. And you're going to the Red Cross or some other center and giving blood can help that person on their recovery. So the thing about not giving blood is just very rampant in the African American community, and I believe that the only thing that's really, really going to help it is the outreach from the centers who take blood, and sitting down, talking to the individuals, and letting them know what blood donation is all about, and what they can do to make the process easier, and what they can do to help someone who needs a blood transfusion. There are many children who have sickle cell anemia who require transfusion several times during their hospital visits, and that's a life-saving procedure. So I would just like to ask each and every person who knows someone who will not donate because of the fears that they have, to ask them to reconsider and educate themselves about the process of blood donation and plasma donation, and not required to be paid for doing something that is beneficial to people who are sick and need your help. Thank you.